friends, in this session we will be doing some deep dive into triggers, taking some complex scenario and solving it. So let's get started. Here we have a question to write a trigger to equally divide the amount stored in custom balance of accounts into individual balance fields associated to contacts. Let's see how we solve it. Now how we approach towards this question. Basically, what does it mean? So it means is that firstly there is individual balance, there is a balance field on accounts, and then there is another custom field that is individual balance on contacts. Now, based on the amounts of balance, we have to divide it equally into individual balance. That is, if there is 10,000 amount written in the balance field and we have two contacts associated to that account, then we have to divide 10,000 divided by the number of accounts, that is 5,000, into each contact, that is individual balance will be having 5,000 amount. So basically what we are going to say is that there is a balance field having certain amount that has to be divided into the individual balance field depending on the number of contacts are there. So we have to divide them equally. So the first step is to create a balance field on accounts and individual balance field on contacts. So I click on Object Manager, I go to Accounts, I click on Fields and Relationship, I select New. Here I will be going on number, I put the name of the field, I click on the visibility, I click on next, and I save the field. I've already created that field, so I will just go to balance. If you see here, then the balance field is there, that is a custom field, and then there is data type number and it is decimal, having decimal till 2 point. So we have created a balance field. The next step is to create individual balance on contacts. So again, I would be going to my Object Manager. I will be going on contacts. Here I will be going on field and relationship. And similarly, I will be creating the field. And after that, once the field is ready, we can see it. It is a number data type and the name of the field is individual balance. So that's how I would be creating both the fields. After we have created both the fields, now let's see what is the next step. So we have created balance and individual balance custom field. Now we say that based on the balance of accounts, divide them equally into individual balance of contacts. So where it is starting? Based on accounts. So the object would be accounts. The next would be the event, because we are saying that based on the balance of accounts, do something on the contact field, contact individual balance of the contact object. So based on A, do something to B, then in that case we use after events. Now when we know that it is on contact or object and it is an after event, now we have to understand that we will be using after update. That is, once the balance is being updated, and if the contacts are there, then add the individual balance in that. So we'll be using after update. Let's see how we write it. We will be starting with writing a query. So I will be going to the developer console. Here I'll be writing the query. So I say select id comma name comma balance comma select id comma name comma individual balance from contacts from account. So what we are basically doing is we are writing a relationship query to get accounts and associated contacts. So let's see if it is working. So I will execute it. So what we say here is we see the ID of accounts, then we see all the names associated with it, then we see the balance, then we see all the contacts associated with the accounts, and it shows ID, name, and then individual balance field what we have written here. So this is how we write the relationship query. Now once we are done with the relationship query, now it's working fine. But now what we want is, let's go back to the question. We see that the balance we will be dividing to the number of contacts. So, okay, if it is 10,000, then we will be dividing on the base of number of contacts. And if contacts is 2, then we will be doing 10,000 divided by 2. But what if balance is 0? Then 0 divided by 2 is not what we should do. So therefore, we will be asking to get from contact accounts where balance is greater than 0, and then we will be executing it. So now by doing this we are just getting all the balances where it is greater than 0. So once I get this query, I would be saving it in a list. I go to execute window, and here create a list account. So I'm creating a list with the S object account, and in that it is having an instance account list, and then I would be putting a query inside it. So now once I created a list having an instance ACC list and storing the query which we have fetched, now we will be going to the next step. So after we create the list, so the next step will be that we will create the list which will fetch query. After we create the list, we will be iterating over the list. So if we have to iterate over the list, we will be using for loop, and we will be saying account ACC list. So basically we are creating an instance of account, and we will be iterating over it. Once we iterate over it, what we will be doing is we will be dividing the number of we will be dividing the balance to the number of contacts. So let's see how we do it. So let's see, if we store the value in the decimal, so we say decimal store amount equal to, now I want to access the balance field, so I say ACC balance divided by the number of contacts. So if I want to divide by the number of contacts, I have to write ACC dot contacts dot size. So this will be giving me contacts size. So what will happen is that the balance will be divided by 2 and it will be stored in the store amount. So after this is done, let's see what the result comes. So I will be writing a simple system.debug and I will be putting the store amount into it. And then I will execute it. Once executed, I will be clicking on debug only and we will be seeing that now the amounts have been divided. So basically what it is doing is it is iterating over the account and then it was going over each amount, dividing it by the balance, by the contact size and storing in the store amount. So now once we are able to debug it and see the value, then we want to add it into the individual balance field. So now if I want to add it in the individual balance, basically this is what we want to add in the individual balance of contacts. So how will we access the individual balance? Because we are iterating over the accounts and we have written a query to get accounts from account. So when we are iterating over account, how will we get contacts? So getting the contact, again we will be querying, again we will be iterating over the contacts. So what we will be doing here, we are writing contact cc, and now because we want to iterate over contacts which is inside the query here, what we will be saying is we will be saying acc dot contacts. What will happen this way, that it will be creating an instance of contact and whatever is there in the acc contacts, it will be stored in it. So if you want to see that what is there in cc, now we can simply system.debug and we can create like this, and let's see that what is being stored. So now I will execute it and I will be clicking on the debug only, and if you see, we see all the contacts and we see the individual balances being provided in all of them. So whatever was there in the cc is coming here. Now we want that store amount should be inside the individual balance basically. So what we will be doing is we'll say cc dot, now we will be accessing that individual balance field and we'll be saying that it should have the store amount. This is the amount which it should have. So now if we do the system.debug, it should only show the individual balance amount. Earlier you could see that cc was having the id, the name, the individual balance, but now it will be having individual balance with the stored amount. Now I will be clicking on debug only and I will be getting the individual balance amount. Once we have done this, now I have to update the list. So if I have to update it, what I would be doing is I will be creating another list of contact as I want to store the individual balance. So what I will be doing is just create a contact and in the contact I will be creating a instance of it, that is contact list equal to new list. So now we are able to write it, and then once we write the list, what we will be doing is we will be saying contact list dot add cc. So what it says is that add the value of cc, that whatever is stored in cc now, add it to the contact list. So now earlier the list which was empty will be having in the contact list. Then we will be updating the contact list. And now I will execute it. So now it's running without any errors. So we are able to execute it properly. So once we are done with the logic, let's write it on the trigger. So I will be going to the object manager and then I will be selecting the account object. The reason being, based on the balance field of account, divide it and put it individual balance of contacts. So because the initiation point is based on the field of accounts, therefore we will be writing on the account object. So I will be going on the triggers and here I would be writing the logic. So for writing the logic, what I would be doing is be writing the syntax, that is trigger name on the object. So trigger calculate balance on the object. So we are writing on the object account object, and then we will be using the event. So we will be using after event, because based on the field of object account, do something to the field of the object contact. So based on A, do something to the B object. That's why we use after. Now we'll be using after update, because once the account is updated with the contact associated contacts, that is once the associated contacts are being added to account, then divide the amount equally and put it in the individual balance. So that's why it should work on after update. Now once we are done with writing the object and the event, now I will be going to the table, open the window and put the logic we have created, and then I would be saving it. Once I save it, let's see that if it is working. So I will be going to the object manager and we see that the object is accounts and the record trigger is already being done. So now let's go to accounts. So I will be going to accounts and here I will be opening one of the records. We see that it is having two contacts associated with this account. So now we see that amount is 90,000. So 90,000 divided by 2, that is 45,000. So if we see here and go to the details, we see that 90,000 divided by 2 is 45,000. So it is absolutely working fine. Now if I go back and if I say that let's change the balance amount, so we will see if it is working. So now I will change the balance amount to 30,000 and save it. So once I save it and I see two contacts, I click here, go to details, and now 30,000 divided by 2 should be 15,000, and yes, we have 15,000. So our trigger is working absolutely fine. Now after we have created the after update event, now it's absolutely working fine. But what if we would have written after insert also? So supposingly we would have used after insert also, then what would have happened? That is, once the account is created, then this trigger should work. So I will be creating an account record. So I will be putting the name and I will be putting the balance amount as 30,000 and I click on save. So once I click on save, I get an error message saying execution of after insert caused by the system.math exception, that is divide by 0. So why this problem is happening is because the first time when we create an account, that time the because the contacts are not there for the first time when we create it, and only once we create the accounts, after that we add the contacts. Because of that reason, we are not using on the after insert, because if you see, there is no field on accounts where we can add contacts at the time of creation of accounts, because of which we are getting this error. So we do cancel, and then we will be simply removing this after insert to make our code work. Click on save. So this is the reason why we are not using after insert for this trigger. Whenever we are writing triggers, we should always try to cover the corner cases. So let's see if we have covered the corner cases in this case. So I go to an account record and see the contact is 0. So till now what was happening is that there was a balance on account field, account object, and based on the balance we were able to divide it and put it in contacts. But if the contacts is 0, what will happen? I will go to the balance and I will try to put the amount as 50,000 and click on save. Once I click on save, I get the following error. Calculate balance, execution of after update caused by system.math exception, divide by 0, trigger.calculate balance. So what it is basically saying is that it is having a math exception because it's dividing the amount of balance by 0. Now this is happening because in the triggers we have not covered the scenario where the contact is less than 0. The contact size is less than 0. So if it is less than 0, then this will not work. This should work only when the list is greater than 0. So what we will do is we will be covering the corner case. So I will write the statement if acc dot contacts dot size is greater than 0, then I will be updating it. So only once we save it, I will be going back to it. Now I will be trying to update the balance and I will save it. If you like the video, please click the like button and subscribe it.